Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Ah, mo kí alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ mo kí gbogbo wa ní orúkọ Olódùmarè. Mo dẹ̀ fẹ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ the general manager of TYF. Àwọn ni wọ́n host wa lónìí. Àwọn ni host lónìí. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ o. Ó ní reason tí mo fi ń kí yín o. Ọwọ́ yín ò mọ lóòkè o. Lágbára Olódùmarè. Gbogbo ń tẹ́ bá ń wá ní rere lolódùmarè ó mọ fún yín o. Ẹ ṣé o. Tẹ́ jẹ́ kójú ó tì wá o. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ mo kí yín o. Madam Àjọkẹ́, always there, always reliable. Gbogbo dáadáa tó wù yín dáadáa pátápátá lolódùmarè ó fún yín o. Mo dẹ̀ kí gbogbo àwa tá à ń gbààwẹ̀. Ojú tajọ sàn, ojú tí ajẹ ọ̀sán. It's not been easy. 30 days, 20 plus days. Àwọn kan ó sínú ní ọ̀la, àwọn kan ó tún sínú bí alọ́túnla, depending on when the moon is sighted. We are not here to mock anybody. We are not here to insult anybody. We are not here to create any controversy. I want to say thank you very much. Akaki gbogbo alórúkọ Olódùmarè. Mo dẹ̀ fẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn aráàlú Ọ̀yọ́, mo kí gbogbo ọmọ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá pátápátá. Òní ni ọba Aláàfin tuntun Ọ̀wọ́-adé tí wọ́n dé adé, tí wọ́n kúrò ní Ìpẹ̀bí he left the shrine of Ṣàngó. Lónìí wọ́n dẹ̀ gbé adé ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fún adé ìṣẹ̀ǹbáyé. Pictures have been circulating all across the social media. We really want to say congratulations to the entire Yoruba race. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Olódùmarè. Despite the fact that 200 years ago, some people wanted the Yoruba race, the Oyo stool, the Oromiyan stool of the Oyo stool, to cease to exist. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Olódùmarè pé àwọn baba ńlá wa wọ́n jà fitafita, wọ́n fi gbogbo ẹ̀mí wọn lélẹ̀ wípé Ọ̀yọ́ ò gbọdọ̀ parun. Ọ̀yọ́ ò dẹ̀ parun. Gbogbo àwọn tó fẹ́ kí Ọ̀yọ́ parun lójú ń tì títí di òní. A kí gbogbo wa o, a kí gbogbo ọmọ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá pátá, because that stool is very symbolic, it's very powerful. It dictates the western and the northern realms of the Yoruba civilization. Mo dẹ̀ kí wa pé mo gbà á ládùúrà pé mo ṣèwúre pé the new Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, lágbára Olódùmarè pé he will lead the Yoruba race, the Yoruba people into greatness, into salvation, into power, into glory. Lágbára Olódùmarè. Mo dẹ̀ gbà á ládùúrà pé gbogbo àwọn ọba aládé látòrí Ọ̀ọ̀ni of Ifẹ̀, Aláké of Ẹ̀gbá, Àwùjalẹ̀ of Ìjẹ̀bú, gbogbo àwọn ọba Olówu of Òwu, Olówu Fúta of Fúta, Baba Olúgbọ́n of Ìgbọ́n, Ṣọ̀ún of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, Olúbàdàn of Ìbàdàn, pé gbogbo àwọn ọba yìí, lágbára Olódùmarè, wọ́n á pẹ́ fún wa. Tí n bá torí kò yọ, tí n bá dárúkọ ẹni ọba, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú sí mi o. Mo gbàgbé ní o. Mo kí gbogbo wa lórúkọ Olódùmarè. Today is a very beautiful day. Today is a very wonderful day. Today is a very blessed day. We are having another intellectual conversation. We are having another intellectual, another mind-blowing session, where we are going to be discussing 3 important parameters. Màá gbìyànjú láti mọ́ pariwo díẹ̀, torí wọ́n ti sọ fún mi, they have been giving health advice as regards to my throat. In fact, ẹ̀rù máa ń bà some of the executives of TYF wípé láì lo microphone, láì lo gbohùngbohùn, màá dẹ̀ máa sọ̀rọ̀ ní every weekend pẹ̀lú gbogbo ọ̀nà fún. Tí ó tọ́nà fún tí ó dáa fi bo ohun. There are health repercussions to all these things. So gbogbo ẹ̀yin àwọn executives TYF that have been that are on stage, that are listening, that are in the audience, that have always wondered how I've been able to survive for years and years speaking from time to time. Mo kí yín pé Olódùmarè náà, agbára yín yóò mọ sọ di ọ̀tun. So today, so hopefully today I will be very, very moderate as regards to how I speak, Tioba, so that it is doesn't matter the kò ń ṣe pé kéèyàn máa fẹ́ mi fẹ́ ó bẹ́tà kára máa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan so that and I can be able to come every week back to back ju kí n sọ̀rọ̀ lọ kí ọ̀fun bẹ́ ọ̀kọ́fun já so that I will not be able to come here for months. So I'll be speaking little by little. Our IT school has started today, and they had the theory positive reviews, left, right, and center. Positive reviews has been given, and we want to thank those that ensured that the entire program is for the selected people was 100% scholarship. The entire program, the entire thing, in fact, no form anybody, is 100% scholarship. Just bring your laptop, come in, buy your data, and come and learn. Kò ń ṣe pé ọ̀fẹ́ la ṣe o, àwọn onínú dídùn kan ni wọ́n make sure pé the entire program is being funded. So, ẹjọ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ wà lucky to be part of those that have been chosen to learn cyber security, artificial intelligence, computer networking, data analysis, cloud computing, and all this rest, and all the rest in that program. Make sure because many people reached out to me. Báwọn fẹ́ participate in the program yẹn, they were not chosen. Ẹ̀yin tí Olódùmarè fún lórí ọ̀fẹ́ pé kán choose, ẹ mọ́ sá ní class o. Ẹ mọ́ sá ní class o, ẹ mọ́ pẹ́ dé ẹjọ́ so that in the next 8 months we can be able to bring in another new class, another new batch, because we want this program to go on forever. We want this program because we want to create. We are not just here teaching people about Yoruba history we want to empower our people. A dẹ̀ fẹ́ mọ́ pín gàrí, a fẹ́ mọ́ pín àlùbọ́sà, a fẹ́ mọ́ pín dómì. A fẹ́ kọ́ àwọn èèyàn bí wọ́n ṣe ń pa ẹja ni. A fẹ́ máa fún wọn ní ẹja. And this is part of, and we are going to make use of the internet and social media. So ẹ jọ̀ọ́ abẹ̀yín lórúkọ Olódùmarè, abẹ̀yín ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa participate in this ẹ bá wa ensure pé misuse this opportunity of TYF IT schools, because there are other programs that are coming up, and this is just one of the things TYF Mama unveil little by little. I also want to thank if Moremi is not here, mo fẹ́ kí Moremi Obadimeji and his and our entire crew, because she was not the only one. It was a department. There were people there in that department, and she was just the spokesperson of that department, which was the grassroots mobilization and especially on land campaign, TYF, for Think Yoruba First, for the Nigerian part, because any other West African branches, West African platforms too. But for Nigeria, Moremi has she went to radio station in Lagos, in a radio station in Kwara State, radio station in Ondo State, radio station in Osun State, radio station in Oyo State, radio station in Ekiti State. And people actually messaged us. Some people reached out to us on our Facebook page, on our different platforms. Some people wrote us that àwọn gbọ́ program àwọn máa gbọ́ nípa organization yìí ní orí rédíò lẹ́lẹ́kìtì ẹjọ́ àwọn fẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa báwọn wá impressed with what some of our people came to preach. And what did they went to preach on that program? They preached about why we must be leasing land instead of selling land. Inú mi dùn gan because Ààrẹ cannot be there everywhere. There is a manager, Kanfemi cannot be everywhere. Obìnrin Àkànṣe cannot be everywhere. Madam Ajoka cannot be. We cannot be everywhere. Each and every one of us, we are all apostles. We are all messengers. We are all prophets. We are all seers. We are all preachers of Yoruba self-preservation all across the world. So this is not about me. This is not about me. Torí ẹ̀ tẹ́ bá rí mi, I only come every Sunday so that other people too can need different platforms and can also have time to also preach the message, because the struggle must be somehow decentralized, and we must create leaders. We must create leaders. I believe it doesn't matter, maybe you have a first degree or second degree or professorship, or maybe you are a genius, maybe your father is a king, maybe your mother is a princess. It doesn't matter. Bá a ṣe bí ẹrú la bí ọmọ. We are all Yorubas. We don't look down on anybody, and everybody, and it doesn't matter, maybe you are young, maybe you are a teenager, you are in your 20s. Age kọ́ la fi ń ṣe nǹkan nínú Think Yoruba First organization. It is orí ọ̀fẹ́ tí Olódùmarè bá fi sínú ẹ, àti the grace of God and your availability. So and your dedication to the struggle. So please, if you really want to join us, go to www.thinkyorubafirst.org. You are going to see where you can send in and apply and be a member, and you will be contacted by our coordinators. They will take you on and add, and through that session you'll be properly boarded on into the different platforms to belong to, maybe within Nigeria or outside Nigeria. It's been a very, very tough work. It's not been easy. I just wanted to tell us what we've done, what has happened in this last week, so that people can know. So we went to Rave FM, Melody FM. So we are going to radio stations, and we'll continue to do more. Iṣẹ́ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni o. Iṣẹ́ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni. Iṣẹ́ ó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni. And ẹ̀yin tẹ́ pé ẹ̀ ń ràn wá lọ́wọ́ financially. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ pé ẹ̀ ń ràn wá lọ́wọ́ nínú àdúrà. Ẹ̀yin tó jẹ́ pé ẹ̀ ń ràn wá lọ́wọ́ by sending us messages pé ẹ kúṣẹ́. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ pé ẹ̀ ń ràn wá lọ́wọ́ by saying níbi tí táwọn kan bá ti ń gbìyànjú láti destroy wa, ẹni no, they cannot destroy us. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ pé different means letting help one way or the other. Amore. We have to be very, very sincere. We are very, very grateful. If we come in here, if we come in here every week and we don't have people to help us, we don't have listeners, the CTYF would have just gone, we would have disappeared. Kò sírú ẹ̀bùn tó Olódùmarè lè gbé sínú ayé ènìyàn láṣọ ènìyàn. So mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín gan. Adem prepare fún we have chapters across the 10 Yoruba speaking states tó wà ní Nigeria. If you are based in Edo, or you have Yoruba of Edo Delta, Kwara, Kogi, Osun, Eko, Ogun State, Oyo State, Ondo State, Ekiti State. Please, we are massively recruiting into all our chapters, and we are also across campus chapters. If you are a student, maybe you are in FUTA, maybe you are in UI, you are in Unilag, you are Polytechnic, and you really want to join us, please come on board. I remember something happened. The coordinator of Ogun State is in the audience. Mo lọ bá wọn ṣèpàdé ní Ogun State ní and I'm saying this particular testimony náà àwọn Christians máa ń pè, and general manager wa is I've never told him this, because actually what I'm discussing was his iṣẹ́ Ògùn wọn ni mo fẹ́ ṣe testimony fún. So mo lọ sí Ogun State, the chapter. I went to greet them. That was my first time. They've been there working hard for months. That was my first time of going to speak with them. Brilliant and beautiful comrades, wonderful comrades, committed comrades. Mo kí gbogbo yín o, lórúkọ Olódùmarè. So when I was there, so mo àti parí ìpàdé, àwọn èèyàn wọ́n béèrè. So as somebody said, àwọn máa ní nǹkan tó ń fẹ́ sọ, pé ẹjọ́ kí ló dé tí TYF ò sí láwọn universities tó wà lógun State, wípé irú òun sìn FUTA lòun ti join TYF. Mo nírọ́ ni. Manager ṣe ń gbọ́ o, host. Mo ní FUTA lòun ti join TYF kóun tó wá move sí Ogun State. Ibẹ̀ lòun ti mọ tó ń pè TYF. Ó nígbà yẹn pé a máa ń wá pé tó bá ti dàsìkò exam ní FUTA pé TYF a máa ń pín oúnjẹ fún àwọn students. Mama Ponje for our students. And this thing that she was almost 3 years ago, 2023. manager ṣebí 2023 la máa la ṣe gbogbo àwọn yẹn là ń ṣe food bank 2022 2023 la ṣe food bank àbí.
Àwẹ̀ ń gbò mí, mi ò rántí nǹkan kan.
Serious. Torí mo fẹ́ ẹ̀yin lẹ handle futa campus chapter nígbà yẹn.
Actually,
And
23 náà ni.
2020, ṣebí 25 láwa yìí.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Yeah, project yẹn ti wọ 4 years, so I think it's
ẹ
2000.
ṣe o.
2021.
So because we are saying this so that people can understand some of the things TY. When you say TYF, TY did not start because of 2023 election or so. Nígbà yẹn, so ṣé mo gbé táwọn students bá wà ní school, oúnjẹ ti máa ń tán towards the end of the exam period. So we used to go to our schools and a máa pín rice, a máa pín different packs. Students báyà ti jẹ́ Yorùbá ṣáwà tó. Wọ́n á gbóúnjẹ, wọ́n á gbàdúrà, inú wọn á dùn. Nígbà yẹn, a mọ̀ pé some of àwọn èèyàn nígbà yẹn ní FUTA chapter, àṣẹ gbogbo wọn, many of them, wọ́n ṣe parí school, many of them ti graduate, wọ́n ti ṣe NYSC. They joined TYF when they got back to their different zones. So it was so beautiful when I saw that. So yẹn tẹ and mo gbogbo yẹn àti dọ́gbé so TYF ń ṣe food bank, à ń ṣe food bank, à ń ṣe food bank. Hopefully we will be able to publish en masse a lot of things we've been doing for many years. À ń ṣe food bank. Kò ń ṣe food bank nìkan. There was we have people in our midst that wọ́n máa ń gbẹ́ kànga káàkiri láwọn ìgbèríko láwọn like digging wells for people. Láwọn àwọn tẹ́gbẹ́ tí ò ti sí omi. So TYF also did that too. So I'm just trying to tell you a lot of things we've done in different neighborhoods, So it's time. So if you are in campus chapter, tẹ́ bá wà ní campuses, bóyá àti dé campus yín, tàbá ti dé campus yín, we are in different lè ká tán gan mọ́ sìn. Tàbá tó bá yẹ pé school we are in a list, we are in private universities, public universities. Tó bá yẹ pé school àti ìdébẹ̀, and you also want to be part, reach out to us. It's either you message the host directly, in fact, or you message me. But tó bẹ́tà kẹ́ message the host directly. Lórí inbox tèmi ti kún. So many people gan náà ti ń bá mi jà pé mi ò ń tètè respond sí táwọn bá bá mi sọ. So ẹ má bínú sí mi. There's a lot of things on board. So ẹ ṣé o. Padà ṣe sọ wákàtí mẹ́ta la máa lò lónìí o. So it's time for the lecture proper. Mo kí gbogbo wa lórúkọ Olódùmarè o. Èyí tẹ́ wà lórí stage. Àṣírí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀gá mi, mo kí yín o, alàgbà. Mo kí yín, orí ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ mo wà o. Bàbá Alágbélẹ̀yẹ, bàbá Tóba, bàbá Dàmọ́lá, Àdìgún, conservative Yorùbá. Mo rí Defender lẹ́ẹ̀kan, ṣé Defender ṣì wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn? Mo kí Atomic, Milkis, Joyce, gbogbo yín pátápátá, Tẹ́mì, Dre Dùdúwà. Mo kí gbogbo wa lórúkọ OG Keeper. Má bínú sí mi o, má rẹ̀ mí mo kí ọ o. Obìnrin bí ọkùnrin, Atókẹ́, mo kí gbogbo yín o. Ẹ̀yin tí mi ò tí gbogbo ẹ̀yin and tí mi tí dá lóhùn on different personal chat or please máa down, ẹ má bínú sí mi ò tó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Orí ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ mo wà o. Tí n bá dẹ̀ tí dá yín lóhùn tẹ́ bá ti message mi rí ẹ tún mi message because I miss it. So àsìkò oṣù Ramadan ti ń parí, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá tún má ti ṣẹ̀ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ orí ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ mo wà ká ní mo ti bú yín rí, mo ti sọ ń tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ràn rí, a ti block ara wa rí, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú, kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe tó pọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá là ń jà fún, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú, mo fi Olódùmarè bẹ̀ yín o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mi ò máa lè mọ̀ ọ́ ṣe o, kò ń ṣe pọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ náà ni gbogbo lọ́dún fi ń gbà fún wa, ẹni tí Olódùmarè orí ọ̀fẹ́ tó Olódùmarè fún wa ni o, ẹni tí ò bá dẹ̀ sí ń bí náà, tẹ bá anybody tó ń bínú sí mi, ẹ sọ fún wọn pé ká má bínú pé mo sọ pé ká má bínú o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o, Olódùmarè mo fi bẹ̀ wá o, ẹ̀bẹ̀ ni mo bẹ̀ ẹ bá ń sọ fún wọn pé mo sọ pé ká má bínú. Today, ẹ rí pé mo ti sọ Yorùbá púpọ̀ láì ní àmúlùmálà púpọ̀ díẹ̀. Now it's time to talk about the lecture proper. I greet us all in the name of Olódùmarè. I greet us all in the name of those who created Ile-Ife. I greet us all in the name of the supreme being that created the universe. Today's topic is extremely important because we cannot underestimate the importance of having a platform where we can talk to thousands of people every week. We cannot underestimate the importance of having a platform where we can talk to tens of thousands of people throughout the world. Gathered here today, we have different types of Yorubas scattered like the sands of the sea across the entire world. We have people in Germany, people in Luxembourg, people in America, people in Ireland, people in New Zealand, people in Australia, Texas, Lagos, Benin Republic, Ivory Coast, France, listening to me today, Hong Kong. And today we want to talk about a very important topic. Because the social media is awash with different kind of rhetoric. And a lot of our people, the sorry situation of Nigeria has been weaponized. The pains of our people have been weaponized. And we need to properly talk about this and to properly educate our people so that we do not become cannon foders, just like the Hausas peasants were used to destroy their leaders and they became slaves in their homeland. Today we are talking about revolution, we are talking about reformation, and today we are talking about disintegration. Which way Nigeria? Some people believe that the Nigeria can be saved, and the only way Nigeria can be saved is through revolution. Some people believe Nigeria cannot be saved, that the only way Nigeria, the final solution to Nigeria is the disintegration of Nigeria. And some people believe that the only thing we can do in Nigeria is reformation. Before I proceed, I also want to greet someone that works behind the scene. He's been with me for many, many years, close to 10 years. I want to greet Bello. I know Bello is also currently fasting. May Olodumare continue to be with you. May Almighty Allah continue to be with you. Highly dependable, solid man. God bless you. God bless you anywhere you are. He's one of the unseen people that has been ensuring TYF is TYF. I know what I'm talking about. You call him in the night, he's based in Nigeria. Call him in the night, call him in the evening. He's always in the audience listening. He doesn't talk. But he's been with me for years. May Olodumare continue to be with you. Please, I have to say that before continuing the lecture. So we're talking about revolution. Revolution is a political process where the status quo is completely overturned and completely destroyed. And we have different types of revolutions across the world. Different revolutions that happen across the world. And oftentimes, the term revolution became popularized, especially about what happened in Europe. Europe used to be ruled by kings for centuries, for millennia, until the popular French Revolution happened, where the French monarchy was destroyed. Even though they went from one monarchy to going on and creating another monarchy. And they created that monarchy. Which monarchy did they create? They created Adala, I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to see you, brother. Please, co-host, tell me to bring him on stage. I'm happy to see him. I'm happy to see Agbanla on stage. Please, he's one of our brothers. I hope he's back because he's tired. He's one of our beautiful and wonderful comrades. Please, co-host, help me to bring Agbanla on stage. Please, I want him on stage, please. Please, I'll be very happy.
Please, send a request, please. I've tried to add you. I couldn't see.
Okay,
Send the
request.
Send the request.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, revolution, reformation, or disintegration. So, the good example of revolution is the destruction of the abolishment of the monarchy system. the abolishment of the monarchy system, and it was turned into I'm a little bit distracted tonight, don't worry. It was turned into a kind of a republican system. So when it was turned into a form of a republican system, where this is where the concept of democracy, this concept of elections, this concept of all men are born equal came into being. And why do you need a revolution? You need a revolution because people feel that there's corruption in the land. People feel that the current system is no longer working and there's a need for change. So the need for change is why people go for revolution. So people feel oppressed. People feel they don't feel as part of the system, and they feel things need to change. So they go for revolution. So we have different types of revolution in the world, different types of revolution in history. The French Revolution was one. The Haitian Revolution was one. The Haitian Revolution was basically a slave rebellion where descendants of African slaves in Haiti stood up and abolished slavery. They defeated the army of Napoleon Bonaparte. They defeated the Spanish army. They defeated the English army. They defeated the American army. They fought like their life depended on it. And they were able to create the first free black country in that hemisphere. And they declared they declared Haitian independence. Everything they did, they copied the American Revolution. And what happened in the American Revolution? The American Revolution was a kind of a system. It was basically like a civil war where descendants of settlers who came from mainland Europe, especially mainly English-speaking settlers in the 13 colonies, fought and rebelled against the English monarchy to create the American Republic. So you can see what I'm saying. Everything has to do with republic. They created the American Revolution, republic. The French Revolution, a republic was created. It was a form of a revolution. So another kind of revolution we also had. Now, for instance, the rebellion of the Hausa peasants led by Fulani Islamic scholars that destroyed the Sarkins, the Hausawas dynasties, and led to the creation of the Sokoto Caliphate was a form of a revolution. They destroyed the Hausa dynasty system, the Abe dynasties, and they created the Fulani dynasties. And that's the reason why the core north is what it is. Visitors observed the process, and they destroyed the indigenous Hausa civilization of system of monarchy, and created an Islamic system of monarchy. The Hausa culture was destroyed and replaced with Islamic culture. It was a form of revolution. And why? What was Madam Fodio saying then? Madam Fodio was saying that the Hausa kings were corrupt. Madam Fodio was saying that the Hausa elite and aristocrats were corrupt, that they need to practice, even though the Hausas were Muslims, they need to practice a puritanical type of Islam, and they need to change the entire system and create a new system of leadership, which was more theocratic order. They destroyed their system, a kind of semi-Hausa animistic system of cultural system that was the Hausa civilization, in an embrace a theocratic system, which is the Islamic system. That is why when you look at Hausa people, and you look at the core north, when they talk, they don't talk about Hausa culture. They don't talk about Kanuri culture. All the time it's talking about the Islamic culture, Islamic culture, Islamic culture. So because the revolution, that was a revolution. And the revolution is always bloody. Revolution is always bloody. I have never seen any revolution that is not bloody anywhere in the world. I have never seen a revolution that is not bloody anywhere in the world. Every revolution is most revolutions are always bloody. Another type of revolution is Zanzibar revolution. The Zanzibar revolution was a revolution where Arabs, for instance, Zanzibar was a particular island that was very close to Tanganyika. The combination, the amalgamation of Tanganyika and Zanzibar was what created Tanzania. So that Zanzibar was a very rich coastal city in East Africa. It used to be part. It was conquered by the Arabs. I don't want to go into the history of Zanzibar. It was conquered by the Arabs, and the Arabs Arabized that place, and they created slave plantations. And a lot of Bantu people, black people from East Africa, from Central Africa, from Southern Africa, were brought into that section of Zanzibar. And that was where a lot of black people were sold. That port was where a lot of black people were sold as slaves all across the world, as were sold as slaves into the Ottoman Empire, were sold as slaves into the Indian subcontinent, were sold as slaves as far as ancient China. So Zanzibar was a slave city, a slave trading city ruled by the Arab Sultanate of Oman. So later on, that sultanate broke into two. So the Arabs, a particular dynasty who belongs to the same parent, father, same blood, same ancestral line, they were ruling Oman. Another one was ruling Zanzibar. And even when the British came, the British even gave Zanzibar a form of independence. Zanzibar was independent, where the Arabs were ruling Zanzibar. People don't know this, that there used to be an Arab-ruled country called Zanzibar in Africa, in East Africa, until 1961. Before the revolution started, it was called the Bloody Zanzibar Revolution. And that revolution wiped out the entire Arab people of Zanzibar. They were wiped out. In fact, the Sultan of Zanzibar died in exile. He managed to survive. He escaped with his life. It was the British that gave him the asylum to survive. And it was the Muslims. So the black people that revolted, they revolted after 300 or 400 years of slavery, and said they are never going to be slaves to the Arabs again. They stood up and fought against their Arab enslavers. That was how the reality of East Africa was changed. That's why when you talk about Swahili language is nothing but Pidgin Arab. Swahili is a combination of Arabic language, and Bantu languages. That was how that language was formed, because it was the interaction of the Arab world and the Bantu world, and the Bantu world was what created Swahili. That's why some of us will never accept people to say that people telling us that we should adopt Swahili in the name of Pan-Africanism. We are never going to accept that, because it's also a legacy of imperialism. Swahili is a legacy of Arab imperialism in Africa. Pidgin language is a form of English Portuguese imperialism in West Africa. So this is the reality. So that was the Zanzibar Revolution. So it's always bloody. It always leads to the overturn of government. It always leads to the destruction of the status quo. If you look at 1966 coup, led by Kaduna Nziogo and Efia Juna, what they called it was they were doing a revolution. That was why a lot of Yoruba people joined, a lot of young Yoruba soldiers who are ideologues joined that struggle. They joined, and they were able to, and they joined that bloody struggle, and they were able to destroy, how am I going to put it? They killed a lot of leaders. They killed a lot of leaders in the north. They killed a lot of leaders in the west. They killed a lot of leaders in the Midwest. But one way or the other, the entire political leadership in the east was spared. That is no longer a revolution. So what happened in that thing was no longer a revolution. It was not a revolution. So that is why it's because it had an ethnic dimension, even though it was bloody. And that was why you saw what Aguiyi Rossi did. What did he do? He destroyed through federalism, fiscal federalism, the system of structure of government in Nigeria. And people felt, okay, this was an Igboization agenda. So I'm just giving you an example of revolution. And we all know what happened. And there was a counter-revolutionary coup. A counter-revolutionary coup led by officers of Arewa extraction. And it was that if the first coup had succeeded, the Igbos would have permanently continued to dominate and rule Nigeria like the Arewas. The counter-revolution altered the balance of power completely and turned the Arewa people into the powers that be within Nigeria. You have to understand this fact, that when revolutions happen, it changes the dynamics of power. When revolution happens, it changes the dynamics of how power is shared and how power happens, how different ethnicities now interact with power. So you need to be careful when people talk about revolution. So these are examples of different revolution. The Arab Spring was another example of revolution. I'm going back into history so that people can understand what revolution means. Revolution is another form of revolution is the Bolshevik Revolution of Russia. The Bolshevik Revolution of Russia was what gave rise to the rise of Stalin and Lenin. The Bolshevik Revolution of Russia destroyed the monarchy of Russia. The kings of Russia used to be called Caesar, the Caesars. Just like the Roman Empire, that was the time where they got the title. But it was crucified. So that time Caesar was now crucified. It's called Caesar. C-Z-A-R. The entire ruling elite were totally killed. The entire ruling elite of Russian monarchy were wiped out during that Bolshevik Revolution. They were totally killed in that Bolshevik Revolution. So that is an example of a successful revolution, and they now adopted communism. It's always peasants they are the ones that always orchestrate revolutions. People that have nothing to lose, people that are dispendables, people that can be wiped out, people that can be killed, the jets of the society. Those are the people that are always used as cannon foders of revolution. So the Bolshevik Revolution was a good example of that's how Russia does not have kings. Because the entire bloodline, who were part Russian, part German, were entirely wiped out in that Bolshevik Revolution that was carried out by the Stalins and the Lenins. So that's a good example of a revolution. It's always bloody. Now the irony was the Russian monarchy, who are ruling the Russian Empire, were imperialists. But even though there was a revolution and the peasants came in and said, "Oh, we want to change the course of history. We don't want to oppress each other," the communist Russia that emerged from the ashes of that revolution also were imperialists themselves. They were imperialists themselves. It was not different from from the French Revolution. Oh, they complain about Charles, the ruling dynasties that were like that. Essentially, they didn't care about the price of bread and all those things, and they were too tough. They were imperialistic. But what happened after the revolution? What happened after the revolution was that the beneficiaries of that revolution, especially Napoleon Bonaparte, became a thorn in the flesh in the side of the entire Europe. He conquered all the way, conquered Germany, conquered all the way to Russia before he was stopped by the Russian winter, captured, sentenced to imprisonment on the island of Elba, came back again before he met his Waterloo at the Battle of Waterloo. So that name you are going to meet Waterloo was referring to one of the greatest European generals ever seen, Napoleon Bonaparte, who turned France into an imperial estate. So oftentimes, when people say we want to do a revolution, they always jump from frying pan to fire. I can count it. 9 out of 10 revolution, people always jump from frying pan to fire. Another great example is the American Revolution. The American Revolution was that, they want to stop feudalism, they want to stop inhumanity of man against man, they want to destroy aristocracy. Now, what did they do? Now, America became a republic, 1776 revolution, they became independent. They chased away the monarchy, they chased away the English. What did America turn out to become? After 40, 50 years, America started the manifest destiny that they need to expand from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And they started wiping out, killing, massacring, raping indigenous ethnic nations, stealing their lands. They waged war against their fellow Europeans. They waged war against the Canadians all the way to Quebec, stole some land from Canada, stole from land from Mexico, from Spain, invaded Cuba. They stole land they stole California, they stole Texas, they stole New Mexico, they stole Florida. They stole almost 45% to 50% of the land of Mexico. That is how they created the United States of America. And they turned America into an imperial republic. So and that did not stop them from having a kind of a Jim Crow system. A Jim Crow system that said that blacks were 3/5 human beings. So nothing changed. Nothing changed. Revolution has never solved anything. It's always bloody. It has always been bloody. It has always been bloody. And if you look at many of the examples I've given, most of those places, there is a form of religious homogeneity, there's a form of ethnic homogeneity, there's a form of ideological homogeneity. The French Republic, the French people were relatively homogeneous, largely Catholic, united. Before they could do that kind of revolution, before they could orchestrate that kind of a revolution. The same thing, when you look at, I'm not talking about the American colonies. These were Anglo-Saxons. They created a system. They created a white race, a racial construct. So they were largely homogeneous. The same people, same language, same ideology. Same thing with the Haitians. They created the black race, the black race construct. They homogenized themselves before they can be talking about revolution. Russians, of course, Russian-speaking people, ethnic Russians, they could hardly carry out a revolution and galvanize their people towards a common cause. I spoke about the Haitian, the Zanzibar revolution, the Bantu black, descendant of enslaved Bantu people, black people, who are Zanzibarians. If that term exists, I don't know what do you call the people of Zanzibar. Maybe Zanzibarians. They came together and they were able to fight and chase out, destroyed the entire Arabs that have been living in that place for the past 400, 500 years. That's revolution. It's always bloody. It's always bloody. So oftentimes there needs to be a form of homogeneity before you can carry out a successful revolution. And revolution has never changed anything. It's always the same people oftentimes what they accuse the people, they accuse the current ruling elite of is what they end up doing. So when I see people like Showore talking about revolution, it is a very scary thing. People should ask us, what is he talking about revolution? That is why you look at the obedient movement. You look at this movement, they are always making people, they want people to be angry. Any good news about Nigeria, they don't want to talk about it. Anything that makes Nigeria, like things that give people hope about Nigeria, they want to downplay it. They want people to feel less about themselves. That's why they talk about the day of rage. Oh, 30-day rants. Intelligent people don't rant. Intelligent people speak. Why should you rant if you're an intellectual? Why should you rant? When people talk about revolution, revolution is bloody. There are three places for a revolutionary. If you want to call yourself a real revolutionary, I have this message for you. There are three places for you. It's either you are in the grave, it's either you are in prison, or it's either you are in exile. Like I know Refugee has been going to prison from time to time because he understands what he's talking about as revolution, as a revolutionary. Revolution always creates anarchy and destruction. In recent times, less than 20 years ago, I know a lot of us understand this basic history, so I'm going to take a glass of water. There was a revolution that happened just less than 15 years ago, and that revolution was the Arab Spring. It started in Tunisia, where a jobless Arab graduate was humiliated by a woman, a police officer, and in protest, he set himself on fire. And from that town, it spread across Tunisia, spread across the Arab world. From Tunisia, it went to Libya, from Libya to Egypt, from Egypt to Syria, from Syria to Lebanon, from there to Yemen, to the Gulf countries, and the entire Arab world was in flames. And it came to Sudan. I hope people are following me with my historical narration, it's my historical analysis, with my juxtaposition. Brothers and sisters, ask yourself. Let's ask ourselves, all the countries that took part in the Arab Spring, what is currently happening in all these countries? What is currently happening in Syria? What is currently happening in Libya? What is currently happening in Sudan? What is currently happening in Syria? What is currently happening in Palestine? What is currently happening in Egypt? What is happening? What is happening in Libya? These countries have failed. They've descended into total and permanent state of war and anarchy ever since the Arab Spring. What happened in Iraq? What happened in Iraq? Because all these countries took part in the Arab Spring. And it was basically led by young Arabs who wanted a better life for themselves. And they believed that for them to have a better life, they need to destroy the old order. And if you want to destroy the old order, you have to carry out a bloody revolution. What happened? Civil war. They got a civil war themselves on their hands. I want to say something today many people don't know. Most of the countries that you call Arab countries are actually not Arab countries. Most of those countries are Arabized countries. Most of those countries are Arabized countries. Libya is an Arabized country. Egypt is an Arabized country. Syria is an Arabized country. Iraq was an Arabized country. Morocco was an Arabized country. All those countries used to be part of the Roman Empire. All those countries used to be part of the Roman Empire. If you do a genetic analysis of many of these people, all the people that call themselves Moroccans, Algerians, Libyans, Egyptians, Syrians, Iraqs, people from Iraq, and you see Lebanese, many of them are actually not ethnically Arab. Many of the people that call themselves Arabs in Sudan are not Arab. They only speak Arab. They are only Muslims. But many of them are ethnically Europeans, Phoenicians, many of them were Greeks, many of them were Romans, many of them are Turks. So they are not actually Arabs. So there are still these ethnic differences on the layer. In many of those countries, you see Arab. That is why Pan-Arabism failed. Pan-Arabism failed because many of these countries you call Arab countries are not really Arab countries. Why do you think Syria is always in a state of war? Why do you think Iraq is always in a constant state of war? Because they know, many of them still know that they are Kurdish. Many of them still know they are Phoenicians. Many of them still know they are Maronites. Many of them still know they are Greeks, even though they are Arab speaking. This reality, many people, you are not going to know this truth on if you, except when you have this kind of intellectual conversation and we have this deep historical analysis, or you're never going to get it on BBC or CNN, because they want you to know, they want you to think the world is black and white, and the world is not black and white. Because we need to know the way the world works and the way the world is structured. That was why one of the reasons why the Arab Spring failed. Because there were underlying issues. I'm going to give you an instance. In Syria, for instance, Assad, the family of Assad, and they are not Muslims. They belong to a sect of Islam that many Sunni Muslims or Shia Muslims don't consider them to be Muslims. It's like you call yourself a Jehovah's Witness. Some people say those people in Jehovah's Witness are not Christian enough. Those kind of stuff. We have such stuff also in Islam. They belong to the Alawite sect, who are in the coastal axis of that area called Latakia in Syria. And they were in the minority. And as a minority that wants to rule the majority, you are going to use bloodshed. You are going to crush dissent. You are never going to allow democracy because you are in the minority. And in Syria, we have the Druze, which is an ethno-religious group in terms of identity. That's the ethnicity. It's ethno-religious. We have the Druze, we have the Kurdish, we have the Arabs, we have the Phoenicians, we have the Alawites, and we have the Sunnis, who are in the majority. And we also have the Shiites. So it's with the Alawites did not participate in that protest. So it was a disaster waiting to happen. That's why Syria, the revolution failed in Syria, because some people did not join. Look at what happened in Egypt. The revolution started, and Mubarak, the long president of Egypt, was chased out of power. Was even sentenced, and they went to go and do democracy. And this man was voted in. The Islamic Brotherhood Party won the election in Egypt. What happened? And what happened? A coup happened immediately.